You can build a successful business and still feel permanently busy because you are juggling marketing, admin, a whole load of systems, and a never-ending list of things that should be done. Today, we are talking about task efficiency, why you shouldn't put all your eggs in the social media basket, and why simplifying how your business operates often creates more progress than adding new strategies. I'm joined by Sophie Stardust, founder, strategist, and long-time entrepreneur who helps business owners strip away unnecessary complexity and build businesses that are structured, sustainable, and aligned with real life. I'm Ildiko Seely, your routine and performance strategist, and this is Routine is Revenue, where we connect your personal health routines directly to your business and career performance. So Sophie, most entrepreneurs believe that they need more strategies, more tools, and more platforms to grow their business. But in your experience, is this the real problem? Is it the lack of strategy that's the real problem? Or do you think that it's simply too much complexity?
Great question. I think it's a bit of a combination, right? And it will always depend on the business. I think the amount of times people say, what should I do in my marketing, or what should happen with this? And I usually start with, well, that's going to very much depend on what you want for your business and what you want for your life. Because unless you start there, then you could be doing all sorts of things that you don't necessarily need. And I think what we tend to do as business owners, the sort of entrepreneurial brain, if you will, tends to gravitate towards lots of bright, shiny objects and things, exciting things, right? Because we've got so many amazing ideas that we can implement. And generally speaking, they're all good ideas. Like, they all have legs, but they all require resources, whether that's time, effort, energy, mental capacity, like all of the different things, as well as all the practical stuff. So when you're looking at what tools you can use, or what apps or tech or whatever it is that you need to do, you really need to come back to basics again, because otherwise you can get swept up in, oh, this new app does all of these things, or this CRM system is going to be the answer to my prayers. And don't get me wrong, I love all of these different things. I'm a big fan of like Trello, Notion, and all the different like Kartras and CRMs and Keeps and all the different things. I think they all have a fantastic place in amongst it all. But they also all have their good points and their bad points, and they're going to suit different people's personalities, different people's way of working, different teams' way of working, and they all fit different structures of business. So you really need to start with, what is the end goal? Like, what am I trying to achieve? And then take it back to which one is going to give me the best access to get to that most efficiently.
Indeed.
And then start building it out from there. Because unless you start with the end in mind, you could suddenly, and I think we've all been there.
Oh, absolutely. And I was going to loop back to...
And you're trying to keep everything up to date, and then you get into that thing that we do, which is just keeping super busy with all the different, like checking emails, checking this, checking that, checking this. We haven't actually done the work that we need to do around all of that checking of all the different things. So,
as you mentioned it at the very beginning, this the whole concept of starting with the end in mind, and not just the end in mind, because your business will evolve and grow, and you will come up with new ideas anyway. But I think one of the hardest things is to start with the end in mind for you. What kind of life do you want to live? Mm-hmm, isn't it? And then you fit the business into it. But then, as you say, the shiny object syndrome of actually building the business. But then the hardest of it as well, to build the business. It is complex though, isn't it? So how do we simplify that complexity?
It is complex, and you can use technology to really help with that, especially in the age of AI, and we're seeing it. I mean, goodness me, I started using AI as early as possible.
Okay.
And I use it a lot. In fact, I've been playing this weekend building out a new client tracking application for myself to work out how much capacity I have to bring on new retainers, and how much I've averaged allocating time out to which one, so I can just at a glance see what my capacity is, where I can add stuff, where I need to take stuff away, because I'm always looking at how can I improve my own systems and also therefore apply that to clients as well. So then they'd be like, what can I do here? And I always like to try things and have an understanding of it before I then say, this could be a solution to you. But it is complex out there. I think it's really easy. I'm a sucker for it, adding in a little bit of extra complexity, and I have to pause and look at it and be really savage, really, and be like, what am I, I'm overcomplicating stuff here. And a great example actually of this is I was talking to somebody a while ago, but it's a common thread, I think, for a lot of people, particularly in the early stages of business. And they were saying, well, I can't possibly do any work because I can't get clients because I've not got a website and I've not got this and I haven't got my account set up and I've got all of that. And I said, look, let's be really clear. All you need to get a client straight out the door, especially in something like consultancy or coaching or something, is a conversation with somebody, and then to send them an invoice, which can be a Word document or a piece of paper. Like, it can be super simple, and then you can build it up from there. But we don't have to have all the complex systems in place, but they can be really handy.
So incredibly difficult, because left, right and center we are hearing that, you need to grow your audience, you need to have a funnel, you need to have a freebie, you need to have a hook, you need to be on social media, you need to post 3 times a day nowadays and every single social media channel. But no, just do 3 times a week and just on one channel, and that's enough just to get started. And literally just sort of recalling all of this is making me dizzy, never mind actually being able to have that conversation with the right person to get a client through the door.
Yeah, and I think, especially when I speak to new businesses, it's super, super overwhelming. And I think we don't give ourselves enough of a pat on the back as more experienced businesses when we are juggling all of these things. Like, we are managing to post 5 times a week on social and send an email newsletter and build out a funnel and network and do all the different things. And I think you forget, a bit like driving a car, once you've driven a car for a while, you don't think about changing gear, in a manual. You don't think about changing gear. You don't think about looking in the mirrors. You literally just instinctively do so much of it, which is how our brain works, right? It's built to automate things that we do often to make it easier for us to be able to focus on the things that matter. And I think for new businesses coming in, they just need to understand that unless you've got massive amounts of money to throw at something, and even that is probably not necessarily the best strategy, because if you don't understand something, then you could be throwing money at the wrong thing.
That's absolutely true.
I like to, say, start with one thing. One thing is better than none. 2 is better than 1. When in the case of marketing, right? So start with what you can, do with the resources that you currently have available to you, and then build it up from there. Because if you do one thing really well, then you can then add on to that. Once that becomes that sort of automated instinctual piece, you can then grow that. And not forget some of the old school stuff of like physically getting out and meeting people and expanding your network through conversations and things like that. In addition to, don't just think I'll set up a Facebook page and all of the stuff will come to me. We have to be.
I think that's such a thing, isn't it? That we believe that we sort of, our brain is still sitting in that now completely old-fashioned status of thinking, I open a shop, I open the door and people will come. But the world has changed so much. And I mean, come on, you actually started in business at a really, really young age. And knowing your life story a little bit, your first business was rooted when you were like 19 and you were in a very difficult position. You just had a child and you moved back home and you started a business. So in those early years, what they taught you about working efficiently with your very limited time and resources that we can sort of take advice from today, even though the world has changed?
I think the world has changed, but a lot of it stays the same. I think marketing ultimately is still the same. You've still got to get the right message to the right people in the right way, right? Message, media, market. In terms of, but the tools that you have to do that is slightly different now, but it all stems from those 3 pillars, really. But I started my business. I had my daughter at 19. I came home with my tail between my legs at 19 when she was 9 months old. I moved back into my mum's, no A-levels, no confidence, it was the stereotypical ran off with the bad boy and do all of that. So rebuild from ground zero. And, my options were work full time and have nothing left and my daughter in care, in nursery all the time, or try and find something to work around my daughter. And I was very fortunate to have my mum, who was amazing at the time and helped with so much and enabled me to have the space to grow into myself and figure out what business looked like. But it started really slowly, but also that I really did the graft. And I look at it now and I think about how I have my network and different things that I fall back on, and I can be a bit less than proactive sometimes because I fall back into the networks that I currently have, and you get comfortable. But at that time it was, starting from scratch, I did the walking around industrial estates when I, as a graphic design and print, I was trying to grow a completely new business. I walked around the industrial estates, handing out a business card, talking to people. Do you need any business cards? Do you need any flyers? Here's a special offer.
You are absolutely right. Things haven't changed that much then, is it? Because you just said a few minutes ago, and to be honest, in experience, that's true. You go to networking, and at the end of the day, and especially now, having had this massive AI thing going on this past year, so fast the change happened that this year, all the messages that are coming from people that I trust anyway, is that personal brand. People buy from people. And we got so scared with all this AI stuff going on that suddenly the personal relationships have become even more important than ever before.
Yeah,
but then
massively.
It was no different about 30, 40 years ago when, well, actually, you're not that old anyway, but 10, 20,
44.
30 years ago. Then you were knocking on doors of companies.
But if I was doing it again now, and I often say this to people, don't put all of your eggs in social being the key to everything. I mean, don't get me wrong, it is super powerful. I think I heard the quote, I can't remember who said it now, but it was social media is the most expensive free marketing tool available.
Is it because it's costing you a lot of time and a lot of energy?
It costs so much to really do social proactively, and bearing in mind how many channels and things there are, you could easily fill 4 people's full-time roles, right?
Absolutely.
With video editing and planning and strategy and implementation and ads and all the stuff. I do know that a lot of businesses make a phenomenal amount of money from social media using ads and different techniques and funnels and all these different things, but it's not critical right at the very beginning. And I think, many businesses, product-based businesses, slightly different, service-based businesses, again, it's so people-led. But even if you look at companies like Tesco's, when you walk in, I don't know if they've still got them now, they certainly did for years, you walk in the door, they've got, this is Beryl's cottage pie recipe in cards on the side. They're trying to add community and faces into this big, massive corporate brand.
And that personal touch, yeah.
But
you call yourself a strategic sidekick. So that's, again, very, very, very personal. You are helping founders simplify their marketing systems and their operations, which is very much the base topic here. Simplify processes to utilize your time as well as you possibly can. So when someone comes to you feeling completely overwhelmed by their own business, certainly by marketing and their admin sort of processes, what patterns do you typically see in how their business is structured?
A lot different, because a lot of my clients now are running multiple businesses. So they've often got team in place to do specific roles. So they're trying to juggle this combination of keeping on top of everything and juggling people and systems and trying to grow and think of new things to do and stuff. What you'll often find, and this applies, I think, across everyone, and it would also apply to me too. If someone came into my business tomorrow and said, right, let's review everything, there'd be loads of places where they'd be like, why are you doing this? Why don't you do this instead? This is much simpler. Even little things like if you are in a Slack group with your team and you are posting in there to let them know that you've put a post on social for the business and could they go and give it some love, you can set up a zap for that. So every time a social post goes out, it automatically goes into the Slack channel and everybody's updated and you haven't had to do anything. So you've set it up once. That has saved you, albeit 2 minutes of your time, but that's 2 minutes 5 times a week over the period of 52 weeks, that those little tiny incremental things add up. There's a great book by Cal Newport called Deep Work, and I think it was in that one that he mentions it, where he talks about efficiency. He's got some great books on slow productivity and all sorts of stuff, actually, but efficiency in emails, for example. What we often do when we reply to an email, it's really easy to sort of bat that to do back onto somebody else, because you're postponing having to deal with it. If you say, yes, can you get back to me on this? But if you look at the email, and I catch myself on this quite surprisingly often, actually, because I do try and do it. Is there any way that I can give information in this email that can close off this conversation?
That's really interesting.
As much information as possible to close it off as quickly as possible. So instead of let me know a date, say, great to hear from you. Here are 4 options for dates, or even better, here's my calendar link. You can use this to book or let me know your availability. Also, this. So you try and give them everything, so that then all they need to do is book the calendar link, or they may come back to you with something else, but you've kept that, instead of being 10 emails, it's 3. So it's usually efficiency things are about small things and making them simpler and helping future you, really. So you're like...
That one example is a really good one. And to be honest, you are not the first person who recommended the book.
Yeah, it's a great book.
So yeah, I think it's probably on my reading list or listening list. I tend to listen to audiobooks rather. Don't really have time to read as such. But then when I go for a walk during the day, like multitasking when it actually works.
Yeah, another example of efficiency, right? You can
absolutely.
That's multitasking in a positive way.
Yeah. If you were listening to this thinking this is exactly where I get stuck, that is not accidental. You have the business strategies, but leaking energy and focus through weak personal health routines. This is the work I do privately with business owners who are ready to build their routines so their business can run without it costing them their health. So a big part of your work is helping people remove these unnecessary sort of moving parts, which was a fantastic example with the emails, and focus on what genuinely moves the business forward. So how do you help founders that you help decide what to stop doing, not just what to improve?
So we come back then to what do you want your experience of life to be? I'm a massive advocate of daily contentment. Always been, I say always. 2011, I did my NLP practitioner course, and I'd done quite a lot of self-development before that around spiritual self-development. That's all the confidence building and the Reiki and EFT and all that sort of stuff. Then did my NLP, and that opened up a whole another section of my thinking. And then so I got into like gratitude and law of attraction and all that sort of stuff then. And I love law of attraction, but not in quite such the cliche sense, but more like setting intentions and attracting stuff in a proactive fashion.
Putting out the right energy into the world and then receiving the right energy back. Yeah,
100%. And proactively going after it, making changes to manifest and all of that.
At the end of the day, I think when people might go wrong with the with manifestation and the law of attraction, as they think that it's magic, but it's not. It's being conscious, as you say. You sort of put that energy out, but then you go after it. You do things to take you towards what you want to receive. It's not just like you're sitting and do nothing. You still work for it, work hard for it.
It can be, because I think sometimes setting the intention tells your unconscious mind that that's what you're doing. So you're not necessarily actively thinking about it all the time, but you've set that intention, which then it sort of embeds it. So it's 100% that a lot of people think that it's just complete magic, but there's definitely lots of different levels to it to play. But daily contentment's a massive thing, and I just sort of got really into gratitude back then and wrote my gratitude diaries every day. And the focusing on the positive things really helps you see more positive things. I recommend it to so many people, because it's such a small thing, which with such massive impact. Just focusing on gratitude and positive things. And I'm a big advocate of, really celebrating daily contentment, especially since my dad died. That refocus on what really matters, and that is love matters above everything else. And I mean love of your work and love of the clients that you work for, and love of your friends and family and loved ones. So it's not like a cliche love, but just how can we create as much contentment? We get to the end of the day, we're happy that it was a good day, and it's not necessarily all the big things. The big things are fantastic. They're a great big, brilliant cherry on the top. But if we can be super happy with our day, that we had a cup of hot chocolate and it was great, and the sun shone, and we watched a film that we'd been wanting to watch for ages, and someone said, our smile was nice, or I like your top, or whatever.
Absolutely.
All of those little things make a really positive life.
I advocate gratitude to be practiced numerous times in the day. So I myself, like first thing in the morning, smile. Literally, as soon as I wake up, just smile and be grateful for all the things that I'm going to get to do that day, which just sort of gets me going. It literally just wakes up my energy levels, and I'm happy to get out of bed instead of just thinking, oh, the alarm's gone. You know what I mean? You set yourself up to feeling positive about your day. And then later on, when I have a cold shower, I express gratitude towards all the opportunities I have in life and the strength that particular action is giving me to take those opportunities, to see those opportunities. And then, of course, at the end of the day, do the journaling. So many people have recommended journaling. So I've been doing that for some time now, pretty regularly. And yes, it's really lovely to look back in the day. Not that often I don't remember what I had for breakfast, never mind what I did during the day. But it, makes you stop and think a little bit, like, oh yeah. And then just appreciating those little micro actions, micro happenings that filled your day that day, and be happy for them. And it puts a smile on your face. Again, you go to bed with gratitude.
Yeah, it means life
creating
is
the
good.
beautiful life you want to live.
Yeah, 100%. And then you can be like excited about the big stuff that's going to happen, but you're really happy in the now. My mum's got a tattoo actually, which I think is Native American, which says Hokahe, which means today is a good day to die. And not in a morbid way, but if I didn't wake up tomorrow, would I be happy with what is happening in my life?
This was my last day,
100%. If today was my last day, and I think it's a really powerful thing. So when I'm talking to founders who are super busy and overwhelmed and all of the things, where possible, because actually trying to pin people down can sometimes be a challenge when they're so busy doing different things. So you have to do it in sections. But it's to be like, what are we aiming for here? Because it's like more, and there's all these things, and you're doing amazing, and you're such an inspiration, genuinely amazing. I don't know how some people do so much in one life.
Mind you, I'm thinking about the same thing about you. I mean, reading all the information you gave me for the preparation was like, oh my God, I really envy this person, but in a good way, because you started so early in life and you've done some amazing things, and you're living the life that so many would envy. Let's say in a good way, but it's absolutely fabulous. And it's really quite funny to hear you think that there are other people who you kind of envy or admire when you've had a fabulous life.
Oh, thank you. They are inspirational because they are doing so much, and it's not like they're doing so much and it's stuff that's negative or unhelpful or something. This is doing so much, and it's actually massively successful businesses and creating positive impact and change and all of the good stuff. So it is inspirational, but equally I am that person who, again, coming back to that daily contentment. And thankfully, you asked me earlier as well about how did I work more efficiently when my daughter was little. You always have to make sacrifice, right? There has to be some level of compromise, I think, when you're working, because I'm not a lady of leisure yet. So therefore I have to compromise somewhere. I have to do some work in order to be able to live the life that I want to live. But for me, it's definitely about figuring out what that looks like. And when I had my daughter, I trialed it to see what would work, whether I worked in the evenings or whether I worked in the mornings. And what I found was the sweet spot for me was to get up at 5, do 2 hours work in the office, undistracted. No one was ringing me, emailing me, doing anything at all. The house was fast asleep. So I just
all these gurus who come up with the morning routine, you already had that morning routine nailed decades ago. You should have written
Tony
those books.
Robbins, yeah, I used to listen to Tony Robbins, and he said that do your hour of power in the morning and all of this stuff. And then there was a great book called Time Management for Manic Mums. And in that, she said, hour of power? I'm a mum. What are you talking about? I have my shower of power. And she said it's like a 5-minute shower in the morning where I'm like, I am amazing. I'm going to get this day. It's going to be great. You know, like your gratitude shower. It's, you know, you've got to find that compromise. And for me, it was give up my mornings to really crack in and get 2 hours of good work done. So that then comes back to, before finishing the day, before write down what are the 3 things that I most need to do that next day for that day to be a success, or like 1 to 3 things. Do those at 5 in the morning, then do the school run and walk the dog and do all that sort of stuff. You know, at that point, I was going to the gym. I was then working more. I was going to BNI, set up a BNI group. I did 7 years of BNI, dropped my daughter off at 6 o'clock in the morning at the childminders, do all this stuff. But then 4 o'clock in the afternoon, non-negotiable, pick her up from school.
And spend the rest of the day with her.
And we had time together in the evenings. And then I'd go to bed, 9:30, 10. But we did, the whole of the evening was dedicated to being with the family, and I didn't do work.
To be honest, the one thing I'm hearing from that is what you had is discipline. You were so determined to succeed that you had incredible discipline. That's what's coming across for me.
Thank you. I hadn't thought about it in that way. But yeah, I think you have to make a decision about where you can, how you can make it work. And I'm not like that now, because my daughter's 26 now. So now I don't have to get up in the mornings, although I will for the next few months because we've got this new dog we picked up yesterday. But now my perfect day is to be in the office between 9 and 10, because I've got up, maybe woken up at 7:30. I've had a cup of tea in bed. I've gone and walked the dog. I've come back. I've faffed. I've done the dishes and I've tidied up, and I've maybe prepped some lunch, or, you know, got stuff out for dinner or whatever it might be. I've just fiddled about and I've had a very leisurely start. Then between 9 and 10 in the office, then I'm ready for the day. And then, you know, cook dinner at 5, 6-ish. And then I'll probably come back and do another hour in the evening. Okay. And the hour in the evening is probably not ideal, but I really enjoy that casual start to the day when I had so many years of early starts. But I think when I get busier, my default is always then to go back to the mornings, because I have to compromise somewhere. And for me, I do like to be able to have, like, if it's sunny, to go and sit in the garden at lunchtime for half an hour is really important. It makes me feel like every day is a fun day.
Nature is just stupendously important. So we've kind of jumped around a little bit between, you know, as a young entrepreneur, you were very disciplined, very structured. Now that you've been in business for a couple of decades, you cannot allow yourself a bit of flexibility. But for the entrepreneurs listening who feel buried under their own marketing task and admin and endless tools, what is one practical step that you can sort of give them to take away this week to simplify their workload and regain the control of their time? Is there one thing you can pick out? Yeah,
I think, and it's easily overlooked, is to really just stop, do a review, like write everything down. And it's so simple that people just think, I can do it in my head or whatever. But actually, if you just stop, write everything down, and then go through and do the whole delete, delegate, do thing, right? What can I delete? Because there inevitably will be one or more things on that list which has gone from list to list to list, like week to week to week to week. I'll do it next week. It's not been done. And it stays there. I've had that sometimes. And you think, this has been on my list for 8 months. I still haven't done it. So you either get rid of it or because
it just bogs your brain down, doesn't it? It is that constant, I'm not achieving because all of these things just remain outstanding. Okay, 100%. So it's more of a mental clutter.
Really critically look at this list. A bit like when you're clearing out a house. Marie Kondo it. Is this going to bring me joy? Am I really going to do this? And I think if it's something like a new business idea or a new product idea or something like that, what I like to do with that is to get it, because I hyperfixate on things. I like to get all of it out of my head where am I going to market it to? How's it going to be? It's going to be amazing. And I write it all down, and it's like, this is incredible. And I'm like, right, I'm not going to do that now. So we'll park it, because I've got all that information when I need it. It's out of my head. I've allowed myself to just dream about it for a bit, and then I'm feel happy to park it. But then, look at your list of things that you've got to do. Be really critical with it. Get rid of some stuff. Just get rid of it. Delete it. I'm not going to do it. Put it, even if you keep it and it just goes in a sometime folder in your brain or on a to-do list or whatever. Then the other stuff is, what could I delegate here? Is there a team member I could delegate it to? Could I get someone on Fiverr or Upwork or another platform to do it? And now, could we use AI to do it? Is there a task there that is repetitive that I procrastinate on that I could get AI to do? For me, one of those tasks is bookkeeping. I'm perfectly capable of doing it. I trained in Sage and used to do all my VAT returns and everything myself, but I would procrastinate until the last day and then do it. And then you just think, just get a bookkeeper. I don't have to think about it at all. It's great. And then what am I going to do? And then on that do list, let's try and look at it and get realistic with our expectations of what we're able to do, what we have the capacity to do. And bearing in mind, humans are notoriously bad at estimating how long it's going to take us to do stuff.
Yeah, that's a real pain. That's very real.
Always allow more time, but you'll get better, obviously, the more things that you do.
The more you practice.
100%. And then prioritize your do list, so that what is the most important thing here. People struggle sometimes with prioritization.
To sort of bring it back to where we started from, obviously we talked a lot about building a business that supports your life, not just consumes your life. So to finish on, if someone keeps adding complexity to their business for the next 5 years, what would happen? Growth or acquired burnout?
Potentially both, but only if they approach it correctly. And the problem is a vast number of small business owners, particularly solo entrepreneurs, will add that complexity before it is needed. Okay. You'll say, I'm going to build this online course. And that's a classic. I'm going to build this entire platform, this online course, this stuff. I'm going to dedicate the next 3 months of all of my time. And I'm not getting other work in, and I'm not doing this other marketing. And then they launch it, and there's one person buys, and then they feel gut-wrenching, soul destroying.
This is kind of no audience. It goes back to what I said earlier, you need to grow your audience first. You need to do this, that, and the other. How do you do that? Every part
100%.
is.
And there's loads of systems that are really cool. I'm a big advocate for CRM systems, if that's the sort of thing. Again, AI platforms like Lovable and things, now you can build out your own back-end applications and systems which are completely bespoke to you, which potentially are going to be cheaper than using a CRM system. But it's really comes down to remembering what it's all about and what you're trying to create, and asking the question, how can I simplify this, over and over and over and over again? Because it's never a bad question to ask.
That should become a daily mantra then. At the beginning of the day, okay, these are the things I need to do. How can I simplify this to make sure that things get done by the end of the day, rather than going down rabbit holes?
Yeah. And also remember your biggest, prioritizing is a big thing. And people are often, but how do I prioritize? Everything's important. And you think, well, is it though? Because yes, it is important, but there is always going to be, if I do a quick fire, what's the one thing you need to do right now? There would be one thing that would pop up. And when I'm in overwhelm, I love Trello and all these things, but I do have my planner, which is my day to day. These are the things I have to do today. And then I've got my digital stuff for all of the big long lists and details and all the other stuff. But if I really get down to being needing to focus, I come back to Post-it notes, and I will write 1 to 3 things that I have to do. And that goes in front of me on my desk, right by my keyboard. So I keep coming back to it. And if I need the extra zhuzh, then I will also set a 10-minute timer on my phone, which goes off every 10 minutes. And I just repeat, because you'd be amazed how distracted you get in a 10-minute period. You'll start working on something, especially, I don't know if it's, just my brain, but I think we all do it. Then an email pops up, or a WhatsApp, or you go,
it is
the classic. You go on Facebook to get a specific piece of information,
And then 10 minutes later, you put your phone down thinking, oh, I don't need to scroll. And then you go back to what oh yeah, that's why I opened Facebook.
Go,
It's like,
oh God,
gosh.
I opened it just to get that thing, and I didn't get the thing because I got distracted by something that someone else posted.
Rabbit hole after rabbit hole. But it's interesting, like it's almost like, again, going back to society set rules, like we say, oh, I'm old fashioned, I've got my planner. Thing is though, we all have different types of kind of, how we connect with things, and digital is not everybody's. And, I'm very visual and I'm very textual. Like I'm a textile designer by trade kind of thing. So I love textures. So I like holding things. And indeed, when you write things down, then you appeal to so many of your senses. You see it, you write it, you get the muscle memory. You can probably read it out for yourself. So you hear it. And you take the information in a very, very different way when you multiply it, as you say, like, you literally build one on top of another. There's post-it notes, the time reminders, the writing it in your planner. You are appealing to all your senses to make sure that it's cemented in that you need to do that task in whatever time.
Yeah, and I think the thing is also to remember that we're all different.
Yes.
And what you'll often find with productivity or, time management gurus is that this is the way. And what I have found to be true is that there is no way. No. It is just my way and your way. And if we focus so hard on what other people are doing and trying to fit ourselves in what works for them, we will miss the opportunity to figure out what works best for us. And that might be a whole mishmash of weirdness, but it doesn't matter as long as it gets you what you need done and it works for you.
Oh, I'm so glad to be finishing on this, because this is exactly my entire ethos of my whole framework, is that I speak to people and find out what suits them and find their personal best, really. So on that, I'm super, super grateful for this conversation, Sophie. I'm oh my goodness, I'm so grateful to have sat down next to you at the Big Festoon Festival.
I know.
Obviously worked out really well. And we were the pink ladies next to each other. So thank you so much for coming along today and
great pleasure.
Sharing your amazing insights into how life should be run and how time and tasks should be simplified in order to run a successful business. Thank you very much, Sophie.
Thank you for having me.
If this episode has shown you where weak health routines are costing you revenue, your next step is simple. Ask yourself this question. Is your business draining your energy faster than it grows? If the answer might be yes, I invite you to book a conversation via the link in the show notes. If this conversation made you think, please subscribe, leave a comment, and listen again. If you would like more information on the topic or my guest, all information is in the show notes. Remember, your business will only ever be as healthy as you. Together, let's build routines to bank results.